Aloha and welcome to the Believer's Journey. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. I want to thank all of your prayers for our ministry. I want to thank all your support for watching our videos, for praying for our ministry, actually, everything we do, everywhere we go, everything we teach. I pray that you are praying that we teach the truth and we continue to teach the truth and we never stray from that. I want to honor Jesus in all we do and all we teach. And so that's really priority in this ministry. I also want to thank our sponsors. We have Guerrero CPA, Guerrero Law, and Trade Show Displays. We want to thank them for continued support for our ministry and everything that they do. So if you are interested in any of our sponsors and who they are, you can go to our website on our front page and you can click on their logo and go right to their website and see who they are and what they do. Today, I want to talk about something that I believe is so very important. It's on honesty. And I think that there are a lot of people in Christendom, if you will, or us Christian type people. And I think that we feel it's okay when we tell the truth, but we don't really say it all. It's like, well, we're not lying. But I want to talk about what the Bible talks about as far as being honest. And I think it's a lot more than just telling the truth. So this is very important. I think this is something that is something we need to live by on a daily basis. When I was young and maybe I was going to college at the time, my pastor, Lon Ekdahl at the time, told me that there was a difference between telling the truth and being honest. And a lot of times we can tell the truth and not tell the whole truth and maybe leave things out, and that's totally dishonest. So I want to talk about that because I think it's important that we, as we look at ourselves in seeking holiness and we're looking at ourselves as becoming like Jesus, we need to look at what it really means to be honest, especially as believers, especially as we say that we want to become like Jesus. And so there we go. So first off, I want to talk about just what it is verbally, what we do. And there's a lot of scriptures out there, and I've picked about 5 or 6 or so. All of our scriptures will be in our discussion area below. But first off, to hit it real hard, in Proverbs 12:22, it says, lying lips are an abomination to the Lord, but those who act faithfully are his delight. Now, it's interesting. I've talked about this a couple of weeks ago about what is an abomination to the Lord, because there are some people, some Christians and non-Christians, or alike, or people go to church that think an abomination to the Lord are only certain sins. But here is one sin when we talk about lying is an abomination to the Lord. So this is why I think this is an important situation. So in Ephesians chapter 4, verse 25, Paul says, therefore, having put any falsehood, let each one of you speak the truth with his neighbor, for we are members of one another. Okay? So here we're talking about verbal, telling the truth, not lying, lifting one another up. Careful of what you say with your tongue. I mean, in James, it talks a lot about how the tongue, can be evil, yet it can be good. And so we have to watch what we say. In Proverbs 19:1, it says, better the poor who walk is blameless than a fool whose lips are perverse. So a lot of times what we end up doing is we'll say things that demean others, whether it's someone who might be poor. I've known rich Christians, if you will, who put down other Christians because they're poor, therefore they think they don't work hard enough. And so their tongue uses the verbiage that demeans them, okay? And that's basically not even the truth. That's just like, not a good witness for the person talking, nor is it a good testimony for yourself or of what the real reality is. There's several reasons why people are poor, and it doesn't mean because they don't work hard enough. Okay, so it's just kind of my little input there. And finally, in talking about speaking the truth and speaking lies, 1 John 3:18 says, "Let us not love with words or speech, but with actions and truth." So transferring into the next level, what we're talking about is, we tend to say a lot of things verbally, and we say these things verbally that we mean the best, we mean to be good, we mean to be truthful or honest, if you will, but it doesn't always come out that way. And sometimes our words may say one thing, but our actions may say something totally different. Okay. So I think that is where I'm going to step in, because on this honesty thing, when we talk about being honest, we in the United States for several years, we've had a thing about when you're in court to say the truth, you're sworn to say the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And I think that this is what I'm getting at. A lot of times we say the truth, the partial truth, and enough of the truth to make you know what or think what I'm thinking that I want you to know. So therefore, I'm not going to tell the whole truth, or I'm not going to tell you a lie, but it's enough of the truth that it gets by, and I'm not lying. And that's what the thinking is of a lot of people. And I don't believe that people who call themselves Christians are immune to this. I think they fall into the trap. And if we are honest with ourselves and we understand that Satan, Lucifer, he's called the deceiver. Well, why is he a deceiver? Well, he tells partial truths. He tells lies. So basically, we need to put ourselves in that position. Do we tell partial truths? If we do, we're going to say that we're basically following the footsteps of Lucifer. I know that's a big, heavy thing to say, but think about that, and weigh it in. Because Jesus talked about the truth, speaking the truth, living the truth, seeking the truth, and also the truth will set you free. So I think it's really important we see this in what is really honest, because I cannot tell you that if I'm going to tell you the truth, but I'm not going to tell you every little thing, that it's the whole truth, or that I'm actually being totally honest, because that's where we're finding here. So in Proverbs 11:3, it says, "The integrity of the upright guides them, but the unfaithful are destroyed by their duplicity." So what we're talking about here is that, we need integrity. We need the person who stands up and says, for me to live is Christ. And if we're going to do that, we need to be totally 100% honest with ourselves, honest to God, honest to other people. And that honesty is all about integrity. It's all about faithfulness. And once we start to lean the opposite way or lean away from that, then we lose integrity. We lose faithfulness. And I think that Proverbs here really spells that out. In 2 Corinthians 8:21, it says, "We are making every effort to live honestly, not only before the Lord, but also before all people." So Paul is amazing when he brings out this idea of honesty, because he's the one that comes out with all these lists, those who live this way, this way, this way, this way, and this way, or do this, and these things, you have no part in the kingdom of God, but rather live like this, and this. He has these lists, and they point out the areas of life, and he's talking to believers. And John, in 1 John, is talking to believers, and he's talking to them about living a certain way. Peter, same thing, about living a certain lifestyle and a certain way that has integrity, that has honesty. And honesty doesn't come when you're dishonest, when you only tell partial truths. That's where dishonesty comes in. And I think that's important to understand that. Finally, in Proverbs 16:8, it says, "Better is a little with godliness than great riches with dishonesty." So basically, we need to think about telling the truth is about honesty, total 100% honesty, not about, oh, well, I told the truth, I didn't tell a lie. Yes, though I know in my mind I didn't tell the whole truth, so therefore I still didn't tell a lie, but you're not being honest. And the Bible has a lot to say about dishonesty and being honest. It's interesting in the Ten Commandments, in verse 16 in Exodus 20, it says, you shall not bear or give false witness against your neighbor. So the word here is in Hebrew is aunah. Okay, aunah, maybe that's anau is what it is. And it's about bearing witness, bearing what you do. The way it reads in Hebrew, if I can remember right, is that you shall bear witness not falsely. Okay, so it's about what you do and what you do that's not, incorrect or not false. Okay, it doesn't say don't give false witness. That's our translation. What it says is to give your witness and not dishonestly. Okay, so if we look at the whole idea of being honest, it's about what is righteous, what is faithful, what is good. Now, when we talk about the word, aunah, okay, in the Greek, in the Hebrew rather, it's, when we read it in several versions, like an NIV version, for example. I'm not sure which version you have in your country or in your language, but in some of the things, translations, it says, "Thou shalt not give false witness," or say false testimony. And so we need to understand that word aunah has a different meaning. It actually means to respond, to answer, to reply. Okay, and aunah actually has two divisions in the meaning of the word. Okay, to respond. So you can respond in a way, number one, that's not verbal. Okay, so it doesn't necessarily mean to tell the truth 100% of the time. It means to be truthful 100% of the time. Okay, so it's bearing truth. Do not bear false witness. Okay, and it's what it is or false testimony. And that testimony isn't in only what you verbally say. It's also what you do. It's what you have. It's what you give. It's how you perceive. I can say things that is truthful with implying that something is incorrect when it's the opposite, just by the way I phrase my sentences. So it's about not tricking people. Okay, it's not about what you say. It's about being honest, about being truthful, and what leads to the truth. Okay, the second is something that does respond to words. So aunah basically has something that responds or answers. Okay, and the major meaning is without verbal response. Okay, so this is what you find in the commandment there: "Thou shalt not bear false witness." Okay, and then you also have a second side of it that does give verbal response. But the idea isn't necessarily about what you say. It's about, are you pointing to the absolute truth? Okay. I mean, how would you like it if God or Jesus said certain things that sounded honest, but they didn't guide you to the absolute truth? Okay. That's what we hear a lot of times when people take the Bible and they want to interpret it for you. They give you truth, but it's not absolutely truthful. Okay, they give you what what it might say, and they define it and imply what they think it says, but it doesn't necessarily always give you the idea of truthfulness. Okay, so basically, when we talk about aunah, it's something that is reacting to make the truth known. Okay, or discovering the truth. Okay, so when we talk about honesty, we're talking about something that reveals the truth. Okay, it discovers the truth. That's what honesty is. And I think it's really important we understand the whole idea of revealing and knowing the truth. Okay, also in Exodus 23:2, it says, "You shall not follow a crowd to do evil, nor shall you testify in a dispute so as to turn aside after many who pervert justice." So basically, what we're looking for here, when we talk about what is truthful, what is honest, what is dishonest, what is not truthful, what is a lie, we're looking for something that lends itself to find total truth. so that we react to total truth. Okay? If God is honest, if Jesus is honest, okay, that means we need to be honest. We need to be truthful in all things to its core. Okay? I don't know how many times I have gone through life and listened to somebody tell me a truth, but they didn't tell me the whole story, leaving out part of the story. So they had me believe something other than the full truth. So I couldn't discover the truth by what they were telling me. Though they didn't lie to me, they also weren't honest with me. And I don't know how that makes you feel when people talk to you that way, but it really bothers me. And I find that very unbiblical. So I just want to put this on you today to remember this the rest of your life, because I think it's important. The Bible talks a lot about the way we need to be as honest people and the way we need to refrain from being dishonest, because the Bible has said, as I read to you, being dishonest is evil. Okay? Lying is an abomination to the Lord. So what do you want to do? Where do you want to go in life? What do you want to be? Do you want to be a child of God, that God is honoring you and proud of you because you're honoring him in all things he's teaching you? Or do you want to be shady? And that's basically what being dishonest is. It's just being shady. Okay, well, I want to thank you for joining me today. That's it for the day and it for the lesson. If you watch this program, I really plead for you to share it with other people. If you haven't subscribed to our program, please subscribe. And go to our website. Look through our website. We have other ministries we do other than the teaching ministry. We support other ministries. We support food baskets for poor people. We help different missionaries and other things like that. So if you look through our website, you'll see that we've grown quite a bit. And this is just one side of what we do nowadays. Well, thank you again for all that you do. You all have a wonderful day. You have a wonderful week, and aloha.